They called her the goddess of love, soft, gentle, beautiful. But that was just a liar mask the gods crafted to hide the truth. Freya was a sorceress, a master of forbidden magic, a queen of the dead. Her power bent fate, summoned the fallen, and whispered to the bones of the earth. Even Odin feared her. This is the story they tried to erase. Not the goddess of romance, but the goddess of war, magic, and desire. Before Odin built his golden halls, before the Aesir ruled the skies, there was Valheim, a wild ancient realm where nature breathed magic, and the gods walked through forests of light. There, Freya reigned not with a crown, but with power that twisted the fabric of reality. She was Voni, one of the old gods, but even among them, she was different. Freya could see the threads of fate, and pull them. She practiced Seer, the forbidden magic that danced on the edge of chaos. Her spells spoke to death, her visions broke kings, and while some revered her, others feared her. Whispers called her too powerful, too dangerous, too free. She could become wind, or fire, or feather. She spoke the language of storms and secrets. It was said that even the earth trembled when she cried, but no one could ignore her. Not the Vanir, not even the gods who would one day try to own her. She was beauty laced with danger, grace sharpened into a weapon. To see her was to be enchanted. To betray her was to invite ruin. When war broke out between the Vanir and the Aesir, blood soaked the roots of Yggdrasil. Swords clashed for centuries, and realms burned in silence. The Aesir called it a holy war. The Vanir called it betrayal. To stop it, the gods offered a truce, and as part of the price, they demanded Freya. She was sent to Asgard in golden chains, not as a prisoner, but as a gift they would never understand. The skies were silent the day she crossed into their world, and even the winds seemed to bow. Odin didn't just want peace, he wanted her magic. He wanted the storm, but what he took would never truly belong to him, because Freya was not just a goddess, she was a storm wrapped in silk, a force the gods would bow to too late. When Freya entered Asgard, she brought with her something the Aesir had never seen. It wasn't a weapon, it wasn't an army, it was Seer, the magic that could bend fate itself. To the Aesir, this was heresy, an art too wild, too chaotic, too alive, but to Freya, it was truth. It was the raw current beneath all existence. She didn't just cast spells, she unraveled destiny, rewrote it, and restitched it with blood and will. Odin, curious and hungry, begged to learn it, and she taught him piece by piece, breath by breath. But Seer does not serve without cost. It takes something from the soul, every time it's used. Odin learned this too late. The visions he saw, what was, what is, and what may be, began to break him. He grew obsessed, not with Freya herself, but with what she knew. The power to see across realms, to speak to the dead, to shift the outcome of battles with a whisper. And all of it came through her, through the woman he could never control. The other gods grew wary. They whispered behind her back, calling her witch, deceiver, demon in silk. They feared her not because she was evil, but because she saw them for what they truly were, flawed, predictable, afraid. She could see every crack in their glory, and worse, she could exploit it. But Freya didn't need thrones or titles. Her presence alone commanded reverence. The winds moved differently when she spoke. The sky dimmed when she entered the room. Even Loki, god of mischief, once warned, Odin, you didn't learn her magic, you let it learn you. Odin listened, and yet, he could never walk away. Some say he was bound by love, others believe it was terror. Because once you taste Seer once, you allow it to rewrite you, nothing else satisfies. Freya had become more than a teacher. She was a mirror to the gods' deepest fears, and Odin, the Allfather, who thought he had gained a tool to reshape the world, had instead welcomed a force he could never command. In silence, she watched him unravel, because Freya understood one thing above all others. Power doesn't need to scream, it only needs to be witnessed. Freya wasn't just a sorceress, she was a warrior, graceful, deadly, unstoppable. She didn't carry rage like Thor or swing a hammer like a brute. She moved like a storm wrapped in silk, calm, beautiful, and then suddenly when she entered battle, silence fell. Enemies froze. Allies followed, because when Freya fought, fate bent to her will. She wore armor laced with magic, feathers of falcons, and blades forged by forgotten gods. But her true strength wasn't steel, it was presence. She could unmake a man with a glance, shatter courage with a whisper, and when the sky bled and the world cracked, she led the Valkyries, ghostly warrior maidens who flew through storms and fire, choosing who would live and who would die. Half of those chosen went to Odin's Valhalla, but the rest, Freya claimed them. They were brought to her realm Folkvang, a field of eternal twilight, where the brave trained not for rest but for Ragnarok. In Folkvanger, she ruled as queen, not with law or decree, but through sheer, unshakable power. The dead followed her not out of duty, but devotion. Even in death, warriors whispered her name. She was not cruel, but she was never merciful. She judged by courage, not by bloodline, not by birth. And once accepted into her ranks, there was no turning back. Legends say she stood alone at the edge of worlds, commanding armies of the fallen. To stand beside her was to taste glory. To oppose her was to beg for oblivion. She fought not to defend gods or thrones. She fought because war was truth, and in truth, she was divine. Freya the witch, Freya the seer, Freya the warrior. She was all of them, and when her blade rose, even gods trembled. They say Freya weeps tears of gold, but behind every tear was something the gods never spoke of. Loss. Her husband, OPR, vanished without a word, gone beyond even her magic. She searched the 9 realms for him, crossing into places no other goddess dared tread. Through snow and fire, light and shadow, she never stopped. And when she failed, the sky itself mourned with her raining golden drops from the clouds. But sorrow didn't make her weak, it sharpened her. She stopped asking for love. She started demanding loyalty. In her search, she made bargains, dangerous ones, with creatures older than the gods. To claim the necklace Brisingamen, she gave herself to for dwarves, a piece of her soul for a symbol of absolute desire. That necklace made her irresistible, feared, worshipped, but it came at a cost. Whispers in the dark, shadows that never left her side. Even Loki hesitated to cross her after that, because Freya's beauty no longer invited affection, it demanded obedience. She became the embodiment of longing, not the gentle kind, but the kind that burns down kingdoms, the kind that twists the heart and never lets go. The gods still spoke of her with reverence, but none looked her in the eye, because deep down, they knew Freya didn't just lose something, she became something else in return. When Ragnarok began, the skies cracked open, gods fell, giants rose, and fire swallowed the stars. But Freya didn't run. She stood at the front lines, her cloak of feathers soaked in blood and ash. She summoned her warriors from Folkvang, not just the brave, but the forgotten, the broken, the betrayed. They rose from the mist like ghosts, answering her call not to serve the gods, but to finish what fate had begun. Even the Valkyries returned to her side. She didn't fight for Odin, she didn't fight for vengeance, she fought for balance, and for the dead who trusted her with their names. They say, when Surtur the fire giant marched toward the last wall, it was Freya who faced him first, with no shield, no fear, just silence and fury. Her magic tore through monsters, her voice split the sky, and yet when the dust settled, she was gone. No body, no grave, no farewell. Some claim she died in the fire, others say she walked into the smoke and became something else, a force without form, a memory that lives in storms and battle cries. Odin never spoke of her again, but the wind still whispers her name, because gods may die, but not all disappear. And Freya was never just a goddess, she was the ending written between every beginning, the final breath before silence.